Laeek, brother, thank you so much for being here today.
Yeah, nice. Thank you.
So the whole goal of these short chats is
Yeah.
basically that whoever will maybe watch a video, one of these videos, will learn something new.
Okay.
So maybe we can start really
Mm.
briefly, kind of
Mm.
talking about how you and I know each other. It's
Uh-huh.
very interesting because you and I
Yeah.
have not known each other
Yeah,
for very
yeah,
long.
yeah. So basically, I just came to Goa to meet Jay, who is
Yeah.
one of my friend,
Yes,
and
brother.
so we were a part of a UNESCO SDG 4 Youth and Student Network member, where we do collaborative work in the field of educations.
Yeah.
So we know since a years, and but we always connected through video, and just like a Zoom and maybe Zoom meetings, but we never met chance to in-person meeting. So somehow I found that just couple of days in ago on a Facebook he posted that he is in Delhi. So I was surprised that why he didn't inform me. So I think so we later realized that we are 100 more than 100 people in our group. So he might not know that I'm living in India. So I just texted him
Yeah.
that what is your plan in India if you have any plan to visit in Mumbai. So
Mhm.
I'll be there.
Mhm.
So I told her, brother, I didn't have a plan, but in Goa I'm going and followed by the Bangalore and I'm back. So I told him, I'll be happy to meet you on weekend if
Yeah.
you okay. So he told, yeah, you should be coming. So I just took a train and come back here. So and he also on phone told that he'll introduce all of you. And I see your photos on Facebook
Yes,
also
brother.
and his WhatsApp profile
Yeah,
as
yeah.
well. All others, friends of yours. So it is very nice to meet you. It's a random meeting,
yeah.
but it's really great to meet you, all of you.
Thanks,
Yeah,
brother. And yeah, so basically we met today.
yeah.
Essentially, we haven't known each other for long.
Yeah.
And I really wanted you to be here today, so thank you because you know a lot. You're a smart young gentleman, and you know a lot, especially about education.
Mm-hmm.
And you have interesting thoughts on the education sector,
Mm-hmm.
particularly education in India.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd like to start by asking you, why is education such an important part of your life?
Mm-hmm. As far as if I say about an education, why it is not fully for me important in general, so well in India about how our societies and our social structure has been so far in the years because
Yes.
we in India there is a social class system
Yeah, yeah.
and so the economic class system. So when we talk about equality, it can be anything. It's economic inequality, it's a
Yes, yes.
social equality,
Yes, yes.
and so if you do not give the access to quality of education all,
Yes, brother.
how you are going to define equality?
Yeah.
So which is why we have reservation systems in academia as well as in job to ensure to balance the equality in social equality. But still you see, no, we do not have a quality educations
Mhm.
in higher education, especially for the secondary education in India is well to do. Like
Yes,
it's,
yes.
every state has own good education system now, and also private institution
Yes,
came into
yes,
picture
yes.
since last couple of years. So up to second year is good, but after second years, secondary educations, when the educations when the youth go to the colleges,
Yeah.
especially in the tier 2 and tier 3 cities, so quality of teachers and quality of educations we still lack. We are still learning 2 decades old curriculum, which is really not relevant to today's. And so we need reform. And also the now government of India has come with the new education policy after 3 decades. We now have a education policy, but it is really on paper. So I don't know how many other years it is going to take implement fully this new education policy. It's pretty good. This is really good, but it's all about the implementation process. And if I talk about little more in deep, why it is important education in India, because so millions of Indian students go for higher educations.
Yes, yes.
So many Western countries, including UK, US, Canada these days, and also Europe. You also from Australia. How many Indian students
Yeah,
they
yeah.
go for only educations for
Yeah.
higher educations?
New Zealand as well,
New
huh?
Zealand as well. No, just because we do have a quality institution, but those are very limited.
Yeah.
So all of the Indian students they cannot get admission there. So they do have to get some quality education which is not available in India. So they have to move out. It's not that they were by choice they are going. Some of them they wanted to go for the quality of life for their succeeding generation as well, but also some wanted to go just because we do not have an option.
Yeah.
So when government of India talk about our the leaders and talk about Indian diaspora is everywhere. In India, as tourism is increasing, medical tourism increasing. Like we have a cheapest, medical services. So many, Westerns, patients for the cancer cure, they visit India to get a cheaper, surgeries for that. Why we can't have a cheap but best education institution in India? Why we can't have? Because we do have a best teachers, we do have a best professor, but we do not have a best institutions. Imagine if you would have an institution in India where every part of the corner of the world they used to get here for the research, maybe the quality of education in the higher educations, the cheap price. What would be good? How it will be good? So imagine our student will not go. So what is the brain drain issues we sometimes bubble up in the news? One problem is this all. Another, multicultural, you know uh, immigrants they will come. So like how Canada is growing, how Australia is growing, how US has evolved, just because they have a base institution and the best mind of the world, they have traveled to get education and they have settled there and they build America.
Foreign talent. Foreign
Yeah,
talent. Yeah,
foreign
yeah.
talent.
Okay.
So why India can't do that?
Mm.
So government of India should work on it, and every others, education advocate, education leader, they should work on it.
So, like you were talking about the education policy, which
Mhm.
was very old, right? You said 30 years,
Mhm.
and now they've got a new policy.
Yeah, yeah.
How is the new policy different from the old policy?
Yeah, yeah, it's good. It's a very relevant questions. The current policy which we have now, it is more in scientific in nature. It is more it is developed with more rigorous, and it has adopted from the some of the good practices from some of the Western countries, some of the Japan, Korea, and some of the other like the countries, whatever they have find the what is the best curriculum, and how, for example, 6 year up to 6 year they should not be exam. They should be more focused about the training and learning. It should not be much exam oriented things. So it's like the curriculum is defined change, and also there will be much more liberty. Like for example, there was a time when you were in 10+2. So if you took a science stream, so you cannot take a biology, you cannot study biology altogether, maths. Now this education policies will liberalize you to take whatever the subjects you wanted to take. You wanted to take maths, you want along with the biology, along with physics, along chemistry, you can take it. So now it will be multicultural, like multi-study, maybe any multidisciplinary is in
It's
nature.
not rigid.
It's not rigid anymore.
So people can work to their talents.
Yeah.
Yeah, people
So
can work to their
also,
talents. So what else is new in this policy?
and also it will be more in skill oriented.
Okay.
It will be more in practical in nature. So it's still also, in some of the master's courses which were neighbor before in India, like we do not have internships
Yeah.
in our courses.
Yeah.
Like government of India is making mandatory. We're going to mandatory. It will take a couple of years to
Yeah, yeah.
implement that.
Yeah.
Like you see in every Western countries, maybe in the master's courses, you do have a one 6 month, 3 months internships where you understand the things we do not have actually. So now it is being implemented. So those are good practices. So because we have a millions of graduate, but they are unskilled because they have been come from a 2 tier and 3 tier institutions where they have studied 2 decades old curriculum. Also, they are unskilled, which knowledge is not required anymore in the study. We need advanced knowledge, skill oriented.
So what you're saying, the curriculum is also not up to date with the
Yeah.
current trends,
Yeah,
with
yeah.
the latest trends.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's an old curriculum,
Yeah, yeah.
and also they're not getting hands-on experience. When
Yes,
they finish
exactly.
studying, the employers are saying, "Where's your experience?"
Exactly.
So they're getting this experience in the course.
Exactly.
Okay. And you were also talking about, you're saying the policies evolved, but you have concerns about the implementation.
That's
Why is this a concern?
For example, just take example. You might be aware that do we have a dowry system in India? Practice.
Dowry.
Mhm.
Yes, we have a dowry system.
Do we have law regarding that?
We do.
Very old.
Yeah.
So it is just same. So like we do have a law, but implementation where it is. Same goes with the every other thing.
Mm.
For education, we do have a maybe curriculum, updated curriculum, but when it comes to the implementation, like if you not recruit the teachers in the universities, like still we do have the leading institutions in India,
Yes, bro.
so many vacant professor
Yeah.
positions. So that's what I'm talking about. So our concern is like you have to implementation, you have to recruit the teachers, best teachers without meritorious teachers, and then these things will be happen. So it is like every other 5 terms maybe election comes, so there will be some set of the recruitment, and the election goes. It's the next 4 5 years there is
Yeah.
no recruitment. So it's like those who are the best teachers in the India, they are overburdened with so many administrative work, along with the research, along with the teaching duties.
Mm.
So they are not doing justice with what they are doing. So that's a concern actually.
So with the current trend or the current pace
Mhm.
in which education is evolving in India,
Mhm.
and also with government implementation,
Mhm.
development of educational
Mhm.
policies, if we go at this current rate,
Mhm.
in 10 years,
Mhm.
15 years,
Mhm.
where do you see us heading?
No, I think whatever we are going, it is not so much optimistic. Like
Really?
yeah, it is not so much because we still not much expense our GDP. The percent of GDP is on the education, like less than 3% only. So ideally in India, there is so much study, there is so much demand from the youth side, from the student side, some of the education advocate, like this should be at least 10% of the GDP should be expense on the education directly, which has been never before. And some government, I don't know, they are different because we are developing nations. We do need some other infrastructures, road development, border security, defense infrastructures, research, so many other duties government I can understand, but maybe not 10%, but we should work on to increase our budget in terms of education, maybe 5%, maybe 6%. Then we can see that there will be some public infrastructures coming from the then you can think something, when you are not putting money and you are expecting that there should be, imagine, we have almost uh, the Indian student who are going to outside to getting a quality education, especially for higher education, for MS and masters related
Yes,
courses.
yes.
So their entire, the money, in terms of money, is like more than 1 lakh crore, Indian 1 lakh crore. So an entire Indian
One
budget,
lakh
1
crore.
lakh crore.
So for those that don't know lakh crore, how will you say this
I
in
don't know how
US
to say
dollars
in
or
US dollar. I don't know how it say, but I don't know because I have to calculate this.
1 lakh is basically a
uh,
million, right?
no, no. So 10 lakh is 1 million.
Okay, so 1 lakh is 100,000.
100,000. So it's like yeah, it's actually $10 million. 1 lakh crore, 10 million crore. If I multiply these things correctly, if you
Okay.
understand.
But you say 1 lakh crore.
Yeah,
So for
in
those
because
from
I'm
India will
yeah,
understand,
yeah,
but
I
those
understand.
outside
Yeah,
won't. But it's a tremendous amount of money.
tremendous amount of money.
Okay.
So what I'm talking, so this much money is goes from India to outside to pay the education fees,
Yes,
living
yes.
expenses for the Indian students in some of the best institution in the world.
Yeah.
And in India as a whole, how much government spending, or maybe total expenditure in education is like 1.5 lakh crore. It's like 1.5 more times. So imagine those 1 lakh crore, if we add here, so our education's expenditure will be just double,
And more robust.
more robust. So those talent will be here.
Mhm.
What we can do, we can expend our money, government or maybe base institution, base universities, those private
Yeah,
universities,
yeah.
they can pay those money to bring the best institutor, best teacher, best professor from outside the world to get teach here to Indian student. That will be more, that will be a good idea.
But you're saying all this money that's going towards export.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of Indian students, like we're saying, going Canada,
Mm-hmm.
US, UK, Australia, New
Mm-hmm.
Zealand.
Mm-hmm.
How, in the first place, will you get those students to not go overseas and stay in India?
No, so ideally, government of India, maybe as a India, we were neighbor against for the brain drain.
Yes,
Like
yes,
it is
yes.
also good. Somebody wanted to go for higher education. Maybe
Yeah,
somebody
yeah.
wanted to live the life in some of the choice countries
Of course.
because of their good facilities,
Quality
quality
of
of
life,
environment,
whatever. Yeah,
life,
yeah.
maybe succeeding generations for improve of lives. Many reasons people go that.
Mm.
Okay, and education is the way how they go. So, but there are still huge amount of students which they are going just because they do not have option to get those quality education in India,
Yeah.
which is why they are taking loan from Indian bank and going to take a study in France and Italy and some of the European countries. So why government and why the education institution can't bring those curriculum, those quality education infrastructures, those professors bring to India and teach those students who wanted to be here? That as simple as you must be aware that many of the foreigner living in the US, because in US is so much expensive of the medical cost,
Very, very,
very much. So
very,
they
very.
came to India to just get a surgery because they will.
Yes,
So
yes, 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 yes.
imagine if we have a based education system, the cheap cost. Don't you think people will not come here?
Of course.
Everybody will come. Even in the US, even in the UK, student they get a paid. They take a loan to study because they have to pay a lot, and they return those tuition fees later in the life also. So that we have to do reverse. We are increasing everything, like Indian diaspora increasing or tourism increasing. People are visiting in India, coming for the medical tourism, coming for other tourism.
Yes, yes.
So coming for learning Ayurveda and some cultural things also.
Yoga, meditation.
Yoga, meditation. People are coming.
Yeah.
So why they cannot come to study for educations? For education based in research, why? We have to just build up the infrastructure. We have to just build up everything. Everybody will become here.
So you think that it has the potential
Yeah,
to be
yeah.
the hotspot,
Exactly.
for education,
That's what I'm
like
saying.
the new UK or US.
I just wanted to see in India in
Yeah,
next 20 years is the education capital of the world.
yeah,
Now you got it?
yeah.
Yeah.
And India's anyway got a foundation because the language of instruction is English
Yeah.
across these
In
institutions.
most of the leading institutions, India is mode of education in English. Anybody can come here and they can study.
So, is there a model country you think, from your perspective, that India could probably replicate at this time?
No, I think we don't need to any model. We would have like we do have a IT, best technology institution in India, Indian Institute of
IIT,
Technology,
Indian
IIT,
Institute of Technology.
and we have IIM. So we
Yeah.
have a best. They are based in their own field. So we don't recognize, like we don't certificate to get the whether they are based or not. So we can work on that. It's no problem there. We have to just make those institution in good number in every other corner in India.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
not only the some major cities. It should be every other states.
yeah.
Equally, it should be distributed everywhere. It should be fees should be anybody can afford. That's what I'm talking about. Even in the someone from the Afghanistan, someone from Middle East, someone from Europe, someone from Australia, if he wanted to do for example food in science, master food in science, he has to pay 10 lakh rupees in Australia. If he has to pay only 1 lakh rupees in India, so will he not come here?
Yeah.
So he'll come here. That's what I'm talking about. Make a system in a like that people came to here.
And you're saying even foreigners.
Even
What about
foreigners.
international fee? Do you think that foreigners should be paying more than
No,
domestic
no, no.
students?
It should be equal because
Equal.
education should never be actually yeah,
Commoditized.
commoditized.
Okay.
It's commercial. It's a being over the period. It's a being commercialized, which should, because you talk one side, UN and other agencies they talk about education is a basic rights. It's a human rights. When you talk about rights, how you can make
A profit.
commercial things?
Okay.
When you make a commercial, then it will be a only certain communities they will get benefited. So some people they get benefited, some will get advanced educations, so they will be always ahead. There will be social inequality, so the income inequality, so the inequality exists.
So you think that the education system in India
Mhm.
for the future is not looking optimistic and it needs a 180 pivot?
It's optimistic somehow, but there should be a transformations. There should be a strong transformation. We need updated curriculum for so many subjects. We need a much fund finance in education sector. We need much infrastructure, especially in the
Yeah.
research, because in India is like that's what I'm saying now for the PhD students. In some of the university, they students they lack of fund, because of that they don't unable to do research like the experiments, because those experimental things and tools are very expensive, and they have a very limited budget for the PhD student, so they can't do that.
It's a cycle.
It's a cycle. So if you get it much money, they will do more research. And as you know that how India can do produce anything good as a cheap cost. We have example ISRO.
ISRO.
Indian Science Research Organizations. They have sent the Mangalyaan with the cheapest cost.
They sent something to Mars recently, right?
Huh?
Did they send something to
No,
Mars?
Chandrayaan. That was the Chandrayaan, and
Yeah.
remember. So that's what I'm talking about. So the 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 Mangalyaan budget is less than the movie called. There is one movie I don't remember in the Hollywood. So less than that budget. So like what I'm telling, I mean to say that Indian are very cost benefited. Like they can produce anything very cost effective. So the education. So if India will develop our curriculum, our education institutions as a global market, so they will be a super cheap. A US citizens, Australian citizens, European student, they can come here. They can save money. They can same get quality of education along with the Indian diaspora, Indian culture while they were studying here in India. Those we have to do everything in reverse. Our foreign policy is increasing. We are effective. We are we are very strong today. So this is the field where government of India should focus, because this is something which is a long lasting. It's for the next generations, for the succeeding generations. They do not have to worry about that in our institutions, in our university, in our college, teachers are not there. Though Indian has a best teacher, but they are not recruitment, so they are not in the institutions.
And you're stressing on how quality is at a high value,
Absolutely.
but at a fraction of the cost. And
Yeah.
India has the potential to do this with education.
Exactly. We don't need to really expense 10% of our GDP. Even with the 5% and 6% of the GDPs, we will do the best education practices in India. We can bring anyone to here to the cheapest cost quality educations in India.
And you're saying people coming from overseas, when they go back to their home countries, they're taking back the culture of India with
That's
them.
what I'm saying.
And that's further adding to the value of
Yeah,
India.
that's what I'm
Perceived
saying.
value of
Yeah,
India
yeah,
around the world.
Yeah, Indian diaspora is it's a culture things. They will learn how Indian live together, how live their diversity and diversity. Because you see today's in world, so people are fighting based on the religion, based on the migrant is the biggest issue in everywhere. So when somebody came to in India, they see 5 to 6 major religion, they people living peacefully in the same places. Many of them they don't know actually. So they know how peacefully the people are living here. So this is a part of our culture. Historically, we are like that. So they will get to learn those things while they study. They become a friends, Indian student. They get to know Indian foods, everything they get exposed. Yoga, meditations, our culture, music. So many we have everything. So they will get to learn. It will be conveyed in a positive way. That's what I'm saying.
And you have one more thing you'd like to add about the education sector that you think someone else should maybe know about in India?
No, for example, I didn't exactly understand.
Like, do you have another thing that you think you'd like to add for anyone watching about education, that in a nutshell, like if anyone's watching this, in a nutshell, in a summary, what do you think?
No, I think that's what I'm saying. So far as in India, we
Yeah.
do have a best education system up to secondary education. Where we are lacking is the college education.
What comes further after that?
College educations.
Yeah.
Because there is also lack of counseling among students, what they should read, what should they study, because they're really not sure about. Because our curriculum has not been designed in a way up to 12th that children are going to misdirection. They are forced to study math, they are forced to study biology, and they don't know what they should do. But new education policy should come, I think, by doing this implementations. Student by the time when they reach up to secondary, they get to know that what they wanted to learn in their study. So once they know that what they are going to study, so that will be a good thing. So now they have a choice. If they can get those things, those quality education in India, that would be good. If they will again go to outside India. So we have this opportunities for the policymakers, for the government, for the education institution, education advocate, those who are working on grassroots level. Like we should make our institutions inclusive, affordable, uh, for for everyone.
And not rigid.
Not
Like you're
rigid.
saying, the
Yeah,
system
yeah.
shouldn't be rigid, because that's also spitting out probably rigid career choices, normally standardized things
Yeah,
like
yeah.
lawyer, doctor, engineer.
Mhm.
But we want to also say there's also graphic designer, there's interior designer, there's
Social
so much more.
scientist,
Social scientist, so
social
much more.
scientist. Yeah, yeah.
Right? That's beautiful, bro.
Mhm.
Laeek, thank you so much.
Yeah.
I think we're coming to the end of our conversation,
Yeah.
but at the very end, I normally ask people one question,
Yeah.
and that is something very simple.
Mhm.
For anyone who's watching this, do you
Uh,
have a piece of advice that you think would be useful for them?
for especially
Just,
education,
just in general or education,
you
whatever
know
you
what I because I have been inspired in India, someone who is like we all know that missile man Dr. Kalam, you know. So
APJ.
APJ Abdul Kalam. So
Yeah.
what he say, what you can give to someone as a best gift, educate someone.
Okay.
If you can support someone, like I remember he visited in my city in Varanasi, where I belong from, in BHU. He convey to all the students, take a oath, like in your lifetime you should sponsor 5 students for education. Wow. So that's what I'm again educating. Whoever you see, whatever your capacity, you may not be feel that you are earning much, but whatever capacity you are, you find your place where you are living. You see, if someone is working in your family as a servant, see if their children is studying, you can sponsor them. Someone in your relatives, you can sponsor them. Someone from the institution where you have study, if you give some amount, maybe you can counsel some, that you can aware there are opportunities, there are scholarship, you make aware some of the people. What I mean to say, maybe in your life, if you can even educate one or two guy, you while you will be retired in your life, you feel so relaxed. You feel that you did
Fulfilled.
something, you did
Fulfilled.
something in,
Yeah.
you will get some, you did something meaningful in life. You just educate one or two. That's minimum mission of everybody.
Beautiful. That's a good
Mhm.
note to end on and very
Yeah,
inspiring.
yeah,
Thank you so much, Lake, for
yeah.
being
Okay,
here
okay,
today.
always welcome.
And thank you so much for
Thank you, thank you,
sharing some of your
thank
wisdom.
you, thank
Thank
you.
you, brother.